Welcome back, MTG Joe here. The first weekend of New Capenna is pretty much in the wraps, and we're going to be doing a weekly meta breakdown for the best performing decks of the weekend based on Untapped GG. It's a companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client, tracks your win rates, aggregates every user's data into like aggregate amounts, and we can kind of see win shares, stuff like that, decks that perform, decks that don't, cards that get included, stuff of that nature. Free to get started with Untapped. It has like in-game tracking and a whole bunch of useful stuff. The link is in the video description down below. I will include the deck lists. I'll paste them in the video description on YouTube, so you can import those if you want. Given it that it's the first week, we need to preface Thursday it came out. I'm recording this on Sunday. Thursday the client was down pretty much the whole day because of server issues, so really it's Friday, Saturday, and up to 5 p.m. on Sunday worth of data that's been aggregated here. So it's not the largest population. There's also like just people getting new cards. So I'm going to really just feature new decks that have kind of come out from it. Like if we look here on the screen, number one deck for the week is Mono White Aggro. As a shock to no one, the deck that was good before in best of one is probably still decent given the short period of time. So we'll focus on those. Normally we look Platinum to Mythic because that's kind of the threshold of when a win and a loss counts the same. First couple days, it's a small sample size, so we're going to go to Gold. We still get 120,000 games. So this video will be for best of one. If you're looking for best of three, I'll have a separate video for that. They don't have Explorer stats up yet, but I'll try to do some just featuring deck lists as a separate video. And then Historic usually takes about a week to aggregate data. So we'll do Historic next week as well. So if you do enjoy this type of content, want to know the new decks, stuff like that, definitely subscribe to the channel. We come out with content on this, plus a bunch of gameplay as well. So like I said, first week we have 120,000 games. Not even first week, first few days. And the top new deck, if you want to call it a new deck, is Orzhov Angels, 62%. So we have two decks, Orzhov and Mono White, that I want to kind of put side by side. The Orzhov deck is kind of built, or the Angel deck is kind of built around this new card, Giada, Font of Hope. 2 mana, 2/2, Vigilance Flying, that ramps you to Angel spells, so gets you to go from 2 to 4, but it also makes each Angel come in with additional counters on it. Plays really nice with the life gain you get from something like Righteous Valkyrie to just kind of build your board. With the prevalence of all these multicolor spells, you're getting at times like less Vanishing Verse, which was a card that really hurt this particular deck. In the aggro mirrors as well, this plays pretty well to allow you to just kind of outpace your opponent in terms of life gain. I played like an Explorer version of Mono White Angels that played a pretty well game against the Winota decks because you could just gain, like at one point I had like 90 something life against Winota while they were hitting triggers and stuff. I was just gaining so much life. The rest of the deck, you got the Verses, you have the March of the Wretched Sorrows removal. Right now we'd have to still see what the meta is like. Some number of Verses is probably reasonable. I may, as we kind of look through more decks, stuff like that, shift this to either Portable Hole or Fateful Absence, or because you're black, you could also play like Infernal Grasp or Power Word Kill, anything like that. Power Word Kill is kind of iffy because of the Dragons and Angels, makes it a little worse. Another new card in the deck is Inspiring Overseer, 3 mana, 2/1, enters the battlefield, gain a life, draw a card. In Explorer, I found this pretty underwhelming. You just have better options. But in the standard deck, it's another 3-drop that allows you to cycle, kind of get value there. Interesting inclusions for Liesa. This is a legendary creature, so drawing multiples isn't the best. There is the 5 mana enchantment that gives you a 4/4 that when an angel dies, your opponent sacks a creature. I've really liked Elspeth, 5 mana Elspeth, to just find your smaller creatures, kind of be card advantage, give vigilance to protect against opponents' wanderers, stuff like that. But give you some options there as well. Otherwise, you got Firjas, which is like an Angel, some removal, and double strike. The Legion Angel package with the sideboard, some Wandering Emperors, and then you have your Miria's Call, your sideboard. Looks like a best of 3 deck that they had, but really your sideboard and best of 1 is just going to be the Legion Angels that get played. If we look at the Mono White version, it is a 56% versus a 62%. Interesting again, like some weird cards. I never understood why, like, this is kind of like a beginner thing or just like a lower. Putting Doomskars in your creature heavy deck just seems poor. Even stuff like this, like Starheim, Aspirant doesn't seem like a good card. I just want to show this one, but I'm not even going to post a deck list. This deck just seems bad. like a bunch of 6-mana spells with 23 lands. Yeah, I'm not even, you know, didn't see that one. That's not a deck I would suggest building. Don't play Doomskars in your creature heavy deck. Let's go with that. Up next, we have our first kind of showing of Omnicsless. It's a Rakdos Sacrifice, Rakdos Anvil deck. So pretty much the core of the deck we see similar to past. It's a Meathook deck. Anvil, synthesizer value for card draw, along with Deadly Dispute. You got your blood tokens. Really, it's just jamming in some Omnicsless in here. This allows you to double up your spells. You double up your Planeswalker. Gives you another angle attack that doesn't get hit by Farewell, which is a card that hurts these decks quite a bit. And lets you kind of pressure nickel and dime in another value. So we see that at 60.4% overall. Probably a decent pick overall with like mono white being at top. We see Esper Agro. So I tried something similar to this, but I went a little bit heavier on just being 3 colors. This is very much akin to what we've seen with like the Naya Agro, which is we're a base white deck with now a couple, you know, in this case blue and black spells, with the Naya being red and green. And the payoffs for you is Rafine, Scheming Seer, 3 mana Esper 1/4 Flying Ward. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X. Conniving is basically you draw X and discard X. In this case, where X is the number of attacking creatures, and then you get to put counters on that creature based on the number of non-land cards you discard. So this can help you in the late game if you're flooding quite a bit. Interesting, again, they're playing 4 of this card, which is a legendary creature. While Thalia has value and is usually a must-kill, I don't know if I necessarily love the 4 of here. Just, you already kind of lack card draw in these types of decks. So while this does have filtering, I guess you can discard the extra copies. A card that I didn't play in mine, and I just misread it at the time, and this card seems better than it actually is when I first had the interpretation. Obscura Interceptor. It's another flash threat that you can play with the Wanderer on 4. Flash lifelink 3/2 that connives itself, so it could become a 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives this way, return up to 1 spell to its owner's hand. Notably, this is on the stack, so you could kind of use it as a tempo play to kind of bounce your opponent's Meathook or something like that. Playing some copies of Rafine's Tower in here, 4 of, to kind of fix your mana. I'd be interested to see as well, like you're playing a little bit more of, in terms of tap lines potential. You also have stuff like Hive of the Eye Tyrant, which, and Otawaro, where they're great utility lands, but you really want the untapped white source on 1 to kind of curve out. Cool thing about untapped, you can see here, like, if I want to build this deck, I'm missing 4 Rafines, 2 Obscura Interceptors, 2 Rafine's Tower. So I need 8 wild cards. I have 21 rares, 24 mythics, so I can craft this. So it gives you deck suggestions, stuff like that. Next up, we have Jund, Areno, Zoomer Jund, I think folks are calling this one, but it is kind of a mid-rangey shell. And really what you get in this, so you got a bunch of removal, Bloodchief's Thirst, Strangle as the new removal spell, some Infernal Grasps, your Meathooks. In addition to Bloodtithe Harvester, you also have Tenacious Underdog, which has been a really good card in the set. 3/2 for 2 mana. That could be blitzed from your graveyard. Gets haste 3/2, and then when it dies, you get to draw a card. So kind of value there to kind of recycle it late game. Just, 4 mana, attack with a 3/2, and then draw a card on end step. You also have, so basically with that, you can have 2 Omnicsless on turn 3 that have 3 loyalty starting. You could technically post them up to both 4. You can do like a blocker and then have that. And then notably with this deck, the token, because it's non-legendary, can be copied with Eska's Chariot. So you can have 3, 4, and pre-release, like the early access event for streamers. One game I had 4 Omnicsless out, and then it just kind of gets nutty. You also have the card Unleash the Inferno. 4 mana, Jund 1. Deal 7 damage to target creature, Planeswalker. Excess damage. Dealt this way, you basically destroy an artifact or enchantment your opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to, basically. So if you hit them for, creature has 4 toughness, you hit them for 7, you can destroy something 3 or less in addition. And then some Lulf on the top end. So we see kind of this version. You got the Gen Triumph now that could be cycled. You got some utility lands, 3 Hives, 1 Den, just so it's kind of grind them out value engine deck. Interesting deck that we saw, Simic Ramp, kind of going into the fatties. 55% win rate, So you have a Souza to put lands into play, Emergent Sequence to fetch lands, Kazandu's land and a creature. Then you have Topiary Stomper. Enters a battlefield, you search for a land. So kind of some more value there. This one can't attack or block unless you have 7 or more lands. Cultivator as well fetches lands, so you're a bunch of ways to kind of get lands into play. Then you got Chariots for tokens, Invoke the Ancient, Tamiyo can kind of get back any of these. Renin 7 to dig you for lands also works nicely with the Tamiyo. You have the Eska Chariot. Renin 7 kind of copy the tokens. Then your top end's Coma. The new card Titan of Industry. Let me pull that up so you can see. Titan here, 7 mana, 7/7 reach trample. On ETB, you pick 2. So destroy an artifact or enchantment, gain 5 life, create a 4/4 Rhino, or you get a shield counter on a creature you control. So shield counters are kind of like, they soak, either they take damage, it kind of protects them for damage for a turn, for removal, stuff like that. It's destroy, not exile. So Vanishing Verse hits it, stuff like that. Same with like if they manage to do Meathook for 7, it'll also die. And then just some utility lands mixed in there as well. Then we have Mardu Midrange. This is actually my deck list that I played at the early access event. I liked it. It was fun. People are putting up about a 51% win rate. Played about a dozen or so games with it, so not the largest sample, but a card that I really liked in pre-release, and I continue to still like it in a number of shells, is Elspeth Resplendent. So its plus gets a 1/1 counter on something, but could also give it permanent, like flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance. Vigilance very important when you're facing off against another Wandering Emperor deck that can't hit you. Flying for evasion, lifelink to help you race. So there's a lot of utility in that way. We're playing the 8 kind of 3-power creatures in the 2-drop slot to maximize Omnicsless. Notably with Elspeth, the -3 can get you basically any of these spells. So even just a Meathook card cast, but you get to cast Wedding Announcement for free, or Omnicsless for free, or Fable, or Bloodtithe, or Tenacious. So there's a lot of value there. I've ultimated her a couple times as well to just get a bunch of Angels. And then you're mixing it in. Wandering Emperor, Fable can help you kind of draw discard and kind of go from there. I like this deck. I have to play it a little bit more to see where it kind of stands. If just going Rakdos is better, Jund, Grixis, whatever it may be. Speaking of Grixis, new cards come. Grixis is still bad. This is actually the better win rate Grixis. There is actually a worse win rate Grixis, which is Grixis Control. But this is a kind of Invoke Despair version of Grixis. You got some Maestra's Charm. This deck's not good, as we can see. 670 games, sub 50% win rate. But just folks will ask, what about Grixis? What about Grixis? Also, Grixis Vampires, steaming pile. Do not play Grixis Vampires. Do not craft Grixis Vampires. If you want to watch it, I have a video that could save you the time. But don't play it. It's not very good. Just wanted to show it to include. And that kind of goes from there. I haven't played too much Standard. I've really been enjoying Explorer. There's a lot of fun decks there. Just tracking. Yeah, I've just been on Explorer right now. But you can see, like with Untapped, like it tracks your win rate, stuff like that. If we do previous season, the season that just ended, like 62% win rate, my peak, just decks we tried out along the way. Just kind of playing from that. You can see everything like that. So if you want to get these stats, kind of track your win rate, see what works, what doesn't. It's a very useful tool, especially as you make modifications like to decks. You could kind of track. So say my mono red deck, I've played 100 games with it. This is version now 8, so you make tweaks here and there, add stuff, remove stuff. It all kind of comes with that. So definitely check out Untapped if you haven't been using it. Like I said, the link is in the video description. In any case, catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one. And let me know in the comments what you're playing, what you like. If you broke Grixis, if you can get a better than 49% win rate, post the list in the comments and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.